Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Forever Cash Life Real Estate Podcast with yours truly, Jack Bosch, as your host. Today, we're going to talk about solar. We're going to talk about land flipping. We're going to talk about tax deed auctions. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff with our special guest today, Steve Hilbon. So let's get started in just 1 second.
Welcome to the Forever Cash Life Real Estate Investing Podcast with your hosts, Jack and Michelle Bosch. Together, let's uncover the secrets to building true wealth through real estate and living a purpose-driven life.
All right, so welcome again. And again, my name is Jack Bosch, and welcome to the Forever Cash Life Real Estate Podcast. I'm super excited to have a friend of mine on the line today. Steve, how are you doing? Steve Hilbon.
I'm doing great. It's a pleasure to be here with you today, Jack.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Now, Steve has been one of our students, as we call him, but really he's a master already for many, many years. Like, you came across our program and our stuff. When was that? In 2008?
Oh,
pretty much when we started, right?
It was Halloween weekend of 2008.
That's right. You were at the very first ever live event that we have done.
First or second?
Teaching live event.
I think you said you did one where there was nobody there, and then there might have been one before me, but it was Halloween weekend. I'll never forget
that.
that.
That's true. So we did, back in the days when we got started wanting to teach this and wanting to create 1,000 millionaires, we really didn't know how to go about this. So the very first time we put up an event, we hosted it in our office because we had a conference room, and we literally had nobody take us up on the offer. Nobody signed up for it. And the second time around, I think we had 2 people sign up, and then we figured out how to actually get the word out there, because it was all a matter of marketing and getting the word out there. And then the next time around, this was the event that you attended, which is our first official event outside of the office. We had 300 people, and you were part of that. That was on the Halloween weekend. Halloween weekend we didn't think about it too much because wherever our house was, nobody came trick-or-treating the years before. And coming from Germany, where we're not into Halloween spirit yet, and we had only, our daughter was 9 months old, so she didn't trick or treat yet. Only afterwards I realized that you don't want to have a live event on Halloween weekend. But anyway, so Steve, so you came to us right in that time when the market kind of was melting down. Tell us a little bit about your experience. Tell us about but give us a little bit the scoop about who Steve Hilbon is and what your experience in real estate was at that time or what it is now.
Well, I'm probably not your typical student because I came into seeing you. I had already been a full-time landlord since I sold my last business in 1997, and this was 2008, so this is 11 years later. I had accumulated like 25 houses already, and I had a portfolio out in Phoenix, actually, out by you. And then as an entrepreneur in real estate like you are, we're always interested in anything that has to do with real estate. Hey, if it's interesting and you can make some money and it's fun, let's do it. So a buddy of mine he still lives out in Phoenix, Bob Pearson, I don't know if you know him, he sent me an email advertising your seminar. And what you did was, and I'll do it right now, you had a filing cabinet, and you whipped out all the drawers, and you said, look, here's all my deals. And now I got drawers full of deals. And here's my list of how I keep track of what I've done. I'm up to close to 300, which is nothing compared to what you've done. It's amazing, absolutely amazing what you've done. But hey, it's good enough for me. And after your seminar, I never bought another house. I've strictly done land. And I've divested myself of most of my rentals. I have about 10 left. That's my income. And the land stuff is fun. I enjoy it. It's entertaining. And so I'm a little different from most people that are just trying to make a living off of it, because I do almost all my deals now in my IRA, my Roth IRA. And it's just almost a challenge. Like you say, you want to build 1,000 millionaires. I want to see if I can get my IRA up to $1 million. I've never taken a penny out. I've always kept putting money back in and back in. And so it's just, we travel a lot like you, 12 to 15 weeks a year. And I work when I want. And if I don't want to take phone calls, I just don't take them. And if I lose a deal, then I'm going to lose a deal. But I enjoy it. And it gives me something to do. I really enjoy it.
I I love this kind of like, yeah, relaxed kind of vibe around how you approach things. So you're not out there to maximize the land business. You're just doing it basically as a hobby. Yet you told me that the land business over the last, what is it, like 10, 11 years now has produced how much for you?
I'm sure it's produced in the seven figures. And
Yeah, it's produced the seven figures as a hobby. So basically, that means a minimum of like almost like $100,000 a year just doing part time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, easy,
You want to.
easy $100,000 a year. And I've always espoused to anybody that'll listen to me. I sent a few people your way that have joined your program. That if you really are good at this and diligent, one guy's my dentist, and he's actually taken a day a week off now. Just his name's Phil. I don't know. I forget his last name, but he's taken a day a week off just to concentrate on doing this. And I've always said, if you really are adept at numbers and good with this, you shouldn't make less than $250,000 a year. I just can't believe that you will make less than that. That's my opinion. Because I make $100,000, and I think I made 100. I made a lot. I had a bunch of deals this month. I got really lucky. And if you want to get into this thing with this solar issue here, it's just an amazing situation that just happened to me. I don't know. You want to talk about that now?
Let's talk about that in just a second. First, okay. I want to jump into the Roth IRA kind of piece. So you're doing our land deals. I mean, for those listening, you go back to the very, very beginning of the podcast. There's several sessions where I explained in detail how the land flipping works. Listen to any other student interviews that talk about how the land flipping works. So we're not going to jump into the steps and things like that now. But basically, in essence, we're buying these properties for 5 to 25 cents on the dollar, and we're selling them for 50 cents on the dollar, 75 cents on the dollar, or we're selling with seller carryback, seller financing for owner financing for cash flow. So having said that, you do a lot of your deals in your self-directed Roth IRA. So tell us a bit about what you do there, how you do that, and because I think lots of people, if you're new to listening to this, you might not even know that you can do this in an IRA, because typically most people have their IRA with like Charles Schwab or Vanguard or one of these companies.
Well, to qualify that, if you call Vanguard or Fidelity and you ask them, hey, I want to buy real estate in my IRA, the first thing they're going to tell you is you can't do that. And to qualify what they're saying is they can't do it for you because they're not going to earn a commission they don't have a real estate license. So you got to go to a specialized trustee. Now, there's about 10 of them around the country. I know Ron LeGrand espouses Quest. But I've analyzed it, and I go with Equity Trust. They're in Westlake, Ohio, because they don't get me. They have a fee every year, but they don't get you for every transaction. And that's important to me because I have like 30 or 40 people that pay me every month. 30 or 40 checks go back every month. And there's always a couple of deals I'm buying, I'm selling, and I don't want to get hit up for a fee each time. So that, at the end of the day, that could add up to a couple $1,000s a year. So you can, and the reason when you ask me how much have I made, the beauty of a Roth IRA is it's completely tax-free. There's no accounting for the government. As far as I know, I do not fill out any documentation about what I've done. Even with an HSA, a health savings account, they're going to give you a document saying how much you contributed and how much you paid out. But for a Roth IRA, nothing. I don't have to fill out any forms. It doesn't get reported on my income taxes. So I don't keep track of it. I mean, I know how much people owe me, but I don't have an amortization schedule on each file. I know that they got to pay me, let's say, till May of 2021, $100 a month or $200 a month. But I don't really know what the balance is. So when you ask how much have I made, I just guess. I've done so much a deal, and if I made $5,000 a deal times 300 deals, then I made $1.5 million. But
now, you could also outsource that. You could have a loan servicing company take care of it. Charge a $25 fee, pass that through to the buyer, and then have the loan servicing company do one deposit into your bank account a month for all the 30 that are coming in. They're collecting it. And therefore, they keep track of the amortization, and they can keep track of the balances, and they send you a statement and beautiful things like that.
This is the entertainment value. Every day I go to the mailbox, and there's checks in the mailbox, and I love it. It is great. I don't care what you say.
I agree with you. I like that too. I mean, we have converted almost all our land loans to ACH. So we don't get checks in the mail anymore. It's kind of sad. There should be hundreds of checks coming into our mail, but now we just get hundreds of deposits into our bank account, which is obviously nice too. So I get my juice by logging into my bank account and I see like boom, 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 all these deposits. But the checks is really fun. You go to the mailbox and there's a stack of checks. The only thing is we travel so much that we don't want them to be sitting around forever and so on. So we converted everything to ACH. And we only have one customer that I think she just doesn't have a bank account. She keeps sending in a cashier's check or money order every single month. But that's cool.
Well, the only downside to the Roth IRA is you can't get money by PayPal, you can't get money by wire, you can't get money by direct deposit, because the IRS regulations, we consider that constructive receipt of funds. So what you need to do is you need to get a check in the mail, check or cashier's check, and I'm just the conduit. I get the check and then I pass the check on to the trustee with a deposit slip. So that does add this a little bit of a complication, because sometimes people want to pay you and you say, hey, you got to send me, they feel a lot more comfortable paying through PayPal or something like that. But I don't think I've ever lost a deal for you, maybe one. You just have to be credible, and the people in general will believe you.
Yeah,
that's absolutely the only downside that I can.
Or also, you can do what a lot of our students are doing is they're doing some of the smaller deals in their personal name or in their LLC and things like that, and then some of the bigger ones, some of the real home run deals, they do then in their IRA, particularly if they're cash deals or so that it's just like boom, a flip done, and it boosts their IRA by like $50,000 or so in one transaction. So you can play with that. There's many different ways to do that. The key here is that if you're listening to this or watching this, if you do not know that you can actually do real estate in your IRA, now you do. So there's custodians, as they're called. There's a whole bunch of them, and I love your distinction that you want to look at them not just based on the annual fee, because they all charge an annual fee, but also on their ongoing fee, what they do. And then another thing I would ask you to look at is, do they allow a concept called the checkbook IRA? We're not going to go much into this right now, but in essence, some do, some don't allow that your IRA can own an LLC. Right? So if your IRA owns the LLC, you can be the manager of that LLC, and you can now write your own checks, and you can actually deposit them in your own bank account, and you don't actually have to go deposit it into the IRA anymore, because the IRA is 100% owner of that LLC and that bank account, and you're just a signer on it as a manager. So there's ways that you can go still do all of this and avoid those fees if you're already with an IRA company. So we'll put a few names of IRA companies into the show notes. Like Vantage IRAs is one of them that we use. Specialized IRA Services is one that we have worked with, and another one is the IRA Club, iraclub.org or US. I can look it up, and we'll put it into the show notes for that. But now let's talk about your land deals. So you told me in the pre-talk before we started here the show that you just sold a larger property for a quick $8,000 profit or so, right? But you told me particularly about one deal on a 40-acre parcel, which is an area that I actually have not yet played in. It's something that is in the back of my mind. I have my notebook here. It's one of the things that is listed that kind of gets transferred from page to page on an ongoing basis that I need to look into, but I just haven't had the time and bandwidth to do it. We're buying apartment complexes, we're flipping land. We just sold a property yesterday, sold a piece of land the day before. We just keep selling land like crazy these days. We have obviously the educational side of things. We're about to go on vacation right now, so there's lots of stuff going on, and I just haven't gotten to that part. But that is the solar kind of deal. So tell us about what kind of letter you've received and about that kind of deal there.
Well, just let me tell you about this deal. I buy most of my parcels at tax auctions and actually Craigslist. I haven't done any marketing in years and years and years.
Yeah, that's something else we're going to talk about in just a second, because you doing our business a little different, but that's okay.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So I'm on Craigslist. I see this posting for $50 an acre for land, and I know I can usually sell it for $300, $400, $500 an acre. And it had just been posted earlier that day or the day before. Now on Craigslist, there's a thing where you say reply. sometimes they give you your name and number, and sometimes they give you a whole big train of letters and numbers, and then you email them and they have to email you back. So I didn't want to wait. This guy was giving it away. I said, I want this. So I took he gave the parcel numbers, and I have a working relationship with a title company, which is very important that you need to have that. You absolutely need to have a title company, customer service. I emailed it over the parcel numbers, and the gal responded. She says, she showed me the deeds. I saw the guy's name on the deed, and I went to Google. I looked it up, and there's the guy's name. He's right here in San Diego County, just south of me. There's the guy's name, and there's his phone number. So I called him, and I says, hey, you got these parcels for sale. I want to buy them. He says, okay, what do we do? I said, well, I can send you a contract. I can take care of everything. He says, I want to go through title and escrow. I says, great. He's still giving them away. Anyway, I got 38 acres for $3,100 all in with title. It's like $80 an acre. And we closed escrow. Now I got these 2 letters in the mail. One came last week. Here's one. Here's the other. One guy, he's done a bunch of solar projects, and he offered me, here's the number right here, $3,425 an acre. $3,400, and I paid $80 an acre. This is like a home run beyond. This is fun. This is great stuff.
So say that again. So he offered you what?
Okay, he offered me an option for 4 years at like $50 an acre. Okay, to do his due diligence and whatever. That's fine. And this guy's done a few projects. He gave me the name of the project he's doing, and I Googled it. He's already filed the EIR, Environmental Impact Report, which out here in California, it's like 400 pages. I saw it from the county it's in. And anyway, and then he sent me a proposal, $3,400 an acre. If you add it all up, that comes out to about $130,000 for a $3,000
for a straight out purchase.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So he wants to buy the property for $100-something thousand. And this is so exciting. This is so, not just because of the numbers, because it shows something very, very distinct. That is a question I get all the time. And the question that I get is, Jack, why do some people pay so much more money for these deals? Why don't they go directly to the owners themselves? Well, in this case, you're going to you for the owners, but why doesn't he pay much less money? Why didn't he go to the original owner, blah, blah, blah? So the thing here is, other people, and we get that with infill lots, is like, why would a builder buy a property at $80,000 when you bought it for something $1,000? Because builders are not in the marketing business. They're not in the land acquisition business. They're not in the deal business. They're in the building business. This guy is in the solar business, and he runs his numbers based on the solar. He says the solar, I can produce it for so much. I can sell the electricity for so much. I can do this based on that. I can afford to pay this much for the land, and he probably can afford $200,000 for the land. But he's basically telling you, okay, let me offer him $135,000. There's some wiggle room to go up, right? So for him, $135,000 is a good deal on that property based on the business model that he's putting together. Right? So he lives in a different world. He's not looking at it from a point of view, did he buy, how cheap can I get this? What can I use Jack's technique and Michelle's technique, the land profit generator technique, to go find deals for $3,000? He's looking at it from a business model, a revenue, cost, and thing, and says like, here's what I can pay for this land, and it makes still total sense for me. That's why he comes back. A builder does the same thing. He says like, it's going to cost me $200,000 to build the house. The house is sell for $400,000, so I have $200,000 buffer. The cost of the construction loan is going to cost me. The realtor is going to cost me. Some other thing, holding cost is going to cost me. So I have $150,000 left. I want to make I want to make a $75,000 profit. I have $75,000 left to pay for the land. So if you bring them a piece of land for $60K, they're going to jump on it because it makes sense. Irrespective of whether you bought that piece of land for $5,000, they don't care because they're coming from it from a different kind of angle. Does that make sense? So do you agree with that?
And but here's the most ironic thing of all. When I was talking to this guy, he mentioned the name of the seller. He said, I spoke to these people last year and I offered them. I don't know if he made an actual offer, because when I first spoke to him, he said he wanted to see my interest in everything, and he said, I'll send you a proposal in the mail, and email you a proposal, which he did the other day. And he said he spoke to these people last year. So these people knew that the solar people were interested in it, and yet they still sold it to me. They gave it away, which I'll regress to when I first met you. Your comment was basically, I'll generalize it, hey, it works. People will sell you properties for cheap. And the first 10 deals we did, my wife and I, Sherry, we looked at each other and we said, who's buying it and why are they buying it? And the answer today is the same as the answer we look at each other. We shrug our shoulders and say, I don't know. I don't know why people do what they do. You just make the offers and sooner or later say, this is what it's worth to me. I don't want to insult anybody, so I always use the phrase, this is what the property's worth to me. If you're interested, great. If not, I'll make another offer to somebody else.
Right.
And so why, maybe I can get more out of this guy. The old Ron LeGrand saying, is that the best you can do? I don't know. But now another guy has come along with these same 2 parcels. He I don't think he's done any business. He doesn't have any projects going on. But he offered me to lease it for $850 lease price, $850 per acre for 20 years, Jack.
Wow.
That's $600. That's almost $700,000.
So
this is like unbelievable, and that's an understatement.
So he's offering you basically $32,000 a year to lease the property from you, and then probably put solar on it, right?
With an escalation clause of 1.5%, so it's even more than that.
Yeah. So, and then escalation of 1.5% more every year. So, so you now have 2 really hard choice to do here. One of them is, do I sell it outright and make $135,000 or potentially a little bit more after negotiating, or do I make a cash flow of $32,000 a year on this property for the next 20 years?
And that's just the lease, and I still own the property yet.
And then you still lease.
But
and then
I don't know that this guy.
At that point of time, solar, they probably extend the lease at that point of time, because I mean the nice part about solar is it doesn't really, unless I'm not too knowledgeable about solar yet, but it doesn't really damage the property, right? I mean, it's not like they're spilling stuff on that. They're just installing a bunch of infrastructure on it that's stationary, and that just needs to be probably cleaned every once in a while.
Well, another analysis of this is that no matter where the economy is going to go, I think we'll all agree that by next year or a year or two, the economy is going to take a downturn, okay? Prices are going to go down. It's just inevitable. But electricity here, especially here in California, they have mandates where any brand new house being built must have solar on the roof. Must. It's a mandate. Yeah. And so electricity prices are just going through the roof. We pay over 20 cents a kilowatt hour out here, maybe 25 cents. You probably pay half of that in Arizona. So there's not going to be a lack of need for electricity. So no matter where the economy goes, these numbers are going to be valid. Yeah. People have to have electricity. So the answer to this, the problem, the answer to my problem is, what did I do this morning? I called up the county planning, and I want to speak to the guy and say, my instincts right now are leading me towards the guy with the lesser offer that's going to give me $3,000 an acre and I'll get $130,000, because they have each one of them is offering like a 4-year option period, at which time they can just bail. And both of them can't build a solar farm in the same place. I only have that 138 acres, 2 parcels, each one's 19 acres. So only one of them can do it. You need to assemble a bunch, 1,000, 2,000 acres, whatever they need to do. And I want to go with the person that's going to pay me. I don't want a guy offering me $600,000 and then 3 or 4 years from now he says, well, I didn't assemble enough land, blah, 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 and I'm out.
Plus one has experience, the other one doesn't. So
right. So yeah. I'm going to talk to the city planner and try to he has no horse in the race. So I'll talk to him and see what get in feedback from him. But other than that, you have any other ideas where to take this?
Well, let's talk about that. That's a creative way to spend our time here. Where else can you take this? Now, my immediate instinct, as I always call ourselves the contrarians, as a contrarians, is like everyone is looking for solar, but you are not in the solar business, you're in the land business, which is actually great. So what can you do? Could you go to the neighbors of all these guys and yourself try to assemble a larger piece?
No.
Right?
That's a job, Jack. I don't want a job.
No, not in terms of a job, but see if you can pay $10,000 for another 20 acres and things like that, and just have a bigger piece, because the bigger the piece, the probably the higher value. You can go back to these guys and say like, well, I now have 100 acres. How about that? Is there a premium for that? But I think other than that, I think you're doing the right thing here. If your properties, but my immediate thing is like, if this is a movement, this is starting, and I agree with you. And yes, probably we pay half of it, but because it's so brutally hot here, we probably we have to crank the air condition up twice as much as you do. So, and our house in April, we had a $600 electricity bill. And that was in April when the temperatures were in the 80s and 90s. So once July comes, I probably have a $1,500.
When we have a compound like yours, I mean, what do you expect, Jack?
Yeah, that is true. That's true. Five air conditions.
But, to comment on what you just said about assembling more for me, I just came into title on this the end of April, about 6 weeks ago, whatever it was. So he found me being on title less than a month. So I think he blanketed the whole area.
Probably.
So I think it's I used to be able to sell to the land trust, the land preserves. That was like shooting fish in the barrel, because you found the parcel and they would tell you what they would pay for it before I bought it. But now they have blanketed the area. Anytime these come up for sale, the tax sale, I can't outbid them. You can't outbid an owner, an end user. Yeah. So I don't think I would go that route. What you just said.
My point though is the following. My point there is, if there seems to be a fast growing demand for properties like that, then generally speaking, what you could do is when you talk to the county official, talk to them about where they would like to see these solar plants to be installed, because the county always has a wish. One of the biggest problems and the biggest mistakes builders make, particularly commercial builders, is they come into a space and with an idea of what they want to build. And that idea might be head-on colliding with what the county or the city wants them to build there. So one of the best ways and the smoothest ways to build something, I know from my builder friends, is to actually go to the city first and ask them, listen, I'm looking at that area. What do you want there? What do you guys want to see there? And if they say, we would love to see some apartment complexes there, we would love to see some retail there or something like that, then you go into the market and search for properties based on what you already know is going to be the easy way to approval. So you can do the same thing here. You can call the counties like, which part of the county would you like to see those things? Do you want them to be right next to the town, or you want them to be like 30 miles away? Which area have you kind of like in your discussions earmarked as great area to do this in? And then you go there, go pick up a bunch of parcels, and then go to the developers or get perhaps a letter even from the county that says we support this area, and then you have that, and then you call that same guy back and say like, listen, I got 80 acres, 100 acres in this area. Here's a letter from the county. That's where they wanted to see, and now you have basically you have already made the case that your properties are prime properties for that. So if this is a development, go ahead of the development, find some parcels there, and you'll have a ready set buyers for these properties that, because of the business model they're talking about, are willing to pay literally, like in this case, 100 times what you paid for the property.
Yeah, it's I mean, for lack of saying it any other way, I just stepped in it with this one. I mean,
sure. And that's often the thing. People say like, Jack, you're lucky. No, I know we've gotten lucky. Luck is a part of it, but the rest of it is freaking hard work, right?
But you know something, Jack, I've said to Sherry a million times, my success, whatever success I have, is built on 99% failure. Because when you make offers, you expect no. Hey, I'll give you $1,000 for a $50,000 parcel or a $20,000 parcel. Most of the time you're going to get a no. Then you can negotiate. But most of the time it's failure. And every once in a while you get lucky, but you can't give up. You can't give up. That is one of the keys. If anybody that's phenomenally successful, you got to have perseverance. So
exactly. So I love that. Built on 90. I'm going to steal that with your permission.
Oh, that's fine. Hey, Jack, I swear to God, I thank God that I came across you. You changed my life.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
For the better.
We love having you in our lives. But so the thesis, what I went to say by that is and it's so much fun having you guys and your success stories, and it's just fun to be around. That's why I said before we're on there, like we moved into a new house and they're like, when is the party? Well, the party already happened. But I told you guys, anytime you're in Phoenix, we can have a small party just with you guys and sit in the backyard, have a good time. But to the point is like luck always plays a role, but luck is meaningless if it's not combined with preparation. Right?
Well,
so if you stumbled into this thing, but because you understand land now, you know what you can do with it, and it might often a lucky strike at the thing opens the door to something brand new. Without luck, we wouldn't be in the land business. Because our first mailing went to houses and land, but the only people responding were land people. So we're like, okay, let's buy this thing for $400, and then we sold it for $4,000, and that was just coincidence. But because we were prepared for it, we saw it as an opportunity, went that route. So this might very well be an opportunity for anyone listening here right now. There's like solar, this movement over there. Let me get ahead of it. That might just be a great opportunity.
Well, it's just one of the tools of the trade. It's just one more thing to keep your eye open for. But just commenting on what you said about luck, I can't remember. I know it's going to come to me, but someone famous said, "The harder I work, the luckier I get."
Right.
That's probably the bottom line of it all.
Yeah.
You just can't give up. You can't give up.
Because you literally can make your own luck. There's actually a book, and I don't know if I still have it, but it's called Make Your Own Luck. That was a game changer for me when I read it, because it talked about that. It talked about that you want to put yourself into the right position, at the right position and the right knowledge, so that and you want to even shout it out what you're looking for. People's like, you got lucky, you find this XYZ. No, I told the world I'm looking for it, and then the world, people is like, well, I have this connection, I have that connection. All of a sudden you connected to the person you wanted to connect it to. Everyone thinks you're lucky, but now you actually put it out there, and then it happens. Like we're looking right now for a new acquisition manager for apartment complex investing, and I just put it out there, and I got 5 people saying like, hey, I'm interested. Is that luck? No, we put it out there.
Yeah, I mean, just to tell anybody that might be a newbie for what you're doing, like I bought a lot of stuff at the tax sales, and then I started in 08 when the timing was that you could buy anything for cheap. Getting rid of it was the problem. Now it's exactly the opposite. It's real hard to buy stuff, but pretty easy to get rid of. Okay, so up until last year, I would buy at the auctions and everything was fine. Last year I got nothing. I got shut out of the Riverside, San Bernardino, and the Los Angeles auction. I've always bought stuff at those auctions every year. I got nothing last year, and that was very disappointing. So then San Bernardino had their auction about a month ago. In fact, we were in Las Vegas. We were in Las Vegas when the auction was going on. I'm sitting in the room on a laptop bidding. I got 3 parcels, paid about 20 grand, and I figure I'll get back about triple my money. So I didn't give up. I just said, hey, and sure enough, I found a few more parcels. So even though it was disappointing, and that can happen, there'll be a low. Sometimes there's a high. It's a roller coaster, up and down, up and down. But just don't give up. That's exactly your bottom line.
Just don't give up. And the beauty of it, you even sold these properties, and we did, of course, too, when the market was low, right? Even in 2008 and 9, that's the beauty of this method. It works in any market.
Yeah, I think maybe I was stuck in a little bit of a mindset of what I used to pay for properties. Let's say I paid about $100 an acre, and now I'm paying about $200 an acre for large parcels. I've had to upgrade
there's definitely a difference in that when the market in 2009, 10, 11, you bought properties at $50 an acre or $100 an acre, and you sold them at $300 or $400 an acre.
$300, let's say, yeah.
And now you have to pay $200 or $300 or $400 an acre, but you sell them at $800 an acre.
Yeah,
right?
If I can buy it for $2 and sell it for $5, you always kind of espouse getting for 10, 20 cents on the dollar. I might be paying 30 or 40%, maybe 50% on the dollar. But again, my methodology or where I am is different because I've sold houses and I've accumulated money in my IRA, and I'm interested in the return on my money. I'm not so much interested. I'm interested in the dollar aggregate number, say it's 20 or 30 grand, but I'm interested in the percentage return. If I can get about 30 or 40%, the rule of 72. So if I get 36%, I double my money every 2 years. Well, go to Wall Street and tell them that's what you want. And they'll say, wait a minute, this is a scam. You know, when Wall Street hits 10%, when it hits double digits on a return, red flags go up all over the place. You know, and so I don't want anything to do with Wall Street. You know, it's just not for me. I don't have any control over it. I have total control over this, and I love that. And
Absolutely.
one other point I want to make, at the point I am in life, you know, I've gotten Social Security, I've gotten Medicare. Let me tell you something, Medicare is great. Oh my God, fabulous. Zero down, you know, it's no deductible, and a couple $100 a month. But you know, you'll see on a lot of the news feeds, like on Google and Yahoo, you know, about, well, should you take Social Security at 62, at 65? How much money should you have to retire? But that's one part of the equation. The other part is you got to have a purpose in life. Because a lot of people, like you'll never retire. As long as you're mentally able, you're going to do this to the day you die because you enjoy it, you love it. It's who you are, and it's
Absolutely.
me too. So
I said yesterday to somebody that the last real estate deal I'll do is probably 2 weeks before I die, and that hopefully in my 107 years old or something like that.
Yeah, because you know, people work at a job for 30, 40 years, and a big part of their social network is where they work. The people they work, they go to office parties and blah, blah, blah. And then they retire and they say, okay, I got my honey-do list. I've been meaning to fix this around the house. And after a year or two, they're all done. Playing golf gets old, and they say, well, what am I going to do now? But this, for me, is a purpose in life. So I get to do it when I want. Like, I don't religiously say at 10 o'clock on Thursday morning, I'm going to go look at Craigslist. I might be sitting here looking at my bank accounts and all. I got 10 minutes to kill or whatever. I'll go look at Craigslist. And I'm sure I miss deals, but that's okay. Because I live in the world of good enough. So long as you have time, money, and health, that's the complete package for me.
Right. So, and that goes to a good, very good point. I love that, by the way. It goes to a good point that people, particularly if they're used to our deals, they ask us, Jack, why in the world do you go? Have you added something like apartment complex investing to that, where you only make, like, say, a 15% return? Because as you go through phases in life, right, you go from a great building phase, like in the land deals we do, like you said, like buying it for 200 an acre, selling it for 200 an acre, selling it for 500 an acre. I mean, that's 2.5 times your money, right? Or 1.5 times profit. It's like it's 150% return on investment in what, the matter of 6 weeks. And so that is one way of doing it, but we are preparing not to stop. And by all means, we're always going to do this, but you have built up an inventory of houses that bring cash flow, and that is now your fund money is the land flipping. And we have built up a portfolio of houses, and we're building up a portfolio of apartment complexes, so that will pay any of our bills, even in our, what you call it, like the, what do you call it, the compound, for the compound and all this kind of stuff. And I don't want to have the compound be paid by active income. I want my cars, my house, my daughter's education, all these different things. I want that to be paid by everlasting long-term cash flow. And then the rest is still the fund money, basically, right? So we do that, and you do the same thing. So
absolutely.
Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. We go away, and even if their vacation costs $5,000 or $10,000, we come home and there's maybe that much money accumulated while we're gone.
Right. Exactly right. And that's the beauty of it. So as you go through different seasons in life, you have to focus on different parts of the equation. Right? So if somebody is in their 20s, they want to build up cash, and they should probably do land flipping, just very, very active and not focus on much other things. Just build up $1 million, $2 million, whatever it is they want to build up, and then use that and then to transition the other pieces. If you're in your 80s and your 70s, probably similar thing, because if you're in your 70s and you have no income, then you got to generate income. But if you already have some assets, then the point becomes making those assets and that cash last and bring more income for the other things. So for the rest of your life. So there's different pieces in it, and you're obviously in a position that you have income, and you're adding the fund income, 6 figures in fund income a year from just the land deals, which is obviously a beautiful place to be. So
well, what you're saying is you go through life, you know, your 20s, 30s, 40s, and you accumulate, and then your 50s and 60s, you got to kind of spend it. But you work for your money, and then you make your money work for you. That's exactly right. That's the way it has to go.
Yeah, exactly. You work for your money.
Life isn't a lot of fun.
As possible, you want to get to that point.
I mean, when you look at statistics, and I'm not making this stuff up, it's all over the internet from the government, 95% of people by the time they hit 65 are broke. I think 50% of people, Social Security is their whole income, or 40%, and 60% Social Security is half their income. And the average Social Security check is only $1,400 on average. The most you can get is $2,700 at 66, and if you let it go to 70, you can get like $3,600 or something. So two people that were high earners, and you can get $7,000 a month, you could probably be okay on that. But that's not most people. That's not most people.
That's not most people. Definitely not.
No.
All right, Ben. So thank you very much. I think we want to wind up the podcast right now with just one question about what percentage of how many properties do you get on Craigslist? Now, Craigslist is not part of our general strategy because I consider it a little bit more of a treasure hunt, and we do our mailings as a more predictable kind of thing where you do the business. But I like the idea of adding Craigslist deals here and there. Why not keep an eye on it? So how much time do you spend on Craigslist, and how many deals do you get through places like Craigslist?
It's this in the last month or two, I've gotten 5 or 6, and 2 of them I got from wholesalers. And like I said, paying about $200 an acre, but they're after cash. And I'm going to take it and sell it on terms for $500 an acre. Maybe they're not willing to wait for the payments. So, but just to tell you, over the years, I've bought stuff on eBay and resold it. I've bought stuff on LoopNet and resold it. I've bought stuff on Realtor.com. Last year, we got 2 parcels. It was on Realtor. I think it was started at 12. We got them down to 7. 6,500 out the door with the title and everything was 7. We turned around and sold them for 18,000, I think. I mean, I hear you say people that get stuff. I'm always fascinated when I go to your seminars and I hear people buying stuff for 10,000 and selling it for 40 or 50. I say, wow, what are they doing? I got to learn something there. But my deals are, if I can buy them for 8 or 10,000 and sell them for 15 or 18 or 20, just keep going, churning them. That's
absolutely.
Some are better than others. I can count on one hand the time I've lost money, and I think one time I lost $2,000 or something. But it happens. It's going to happen. But in general, I'm not out for the last buck. I'm out for a fast buck. I like to buy them. I like to sell them, and in between holding them, that ain't no fun.
Like the cash flow, right?
Yeah.
And you like the cash flow because if you make a couple of $8,000 deals and then you have one that you get at 8 and you sell it for 20 with seller financing, but you don't get an $8,000 down payment, well, the other one supplemented that, right? Overall, you still have a cash positive, and now you get cash flow.
Yeah, I advertise all my properties on terms. And I'll always say, if you give me cash, I'll give you 10% off. And that's what happened with the one I paid $10,750. I advertised it for 20. And here's an interesting story on that one, where the gal said to me, she calls me and she says, I want to buy the property. And so because I take all my own phone calls. I like to talk to people. If you don't know that, I like to talk. And so the gal says to me, well, no. I said to her, well, do you want to buy it, or you just want some information about buying it? Because sometimes people say what they say, they don't really mean what they say. She says, no. She says, it was on an auction site, and we had bid on it. We thought we bought it, and then it turns out when we went to pay him, it was already sold. And obviously, I had bought it, not on the auction site, but direct from the seller, who was a wholesaler. So she says, I know the property. She says, we want that property. I says, okay, sold. And she says, well, I'm paying cash. Is there a discount? And I'm like, listing always says 10% off for cash. So I went down from 20 to 18. I got a check in the mail a couple days later, and I had to send off to get the deed notarized, which will come back in a couple days. And away I go. I made like 18 minus 10 cents. I made $7,200 or something.
Very nice.
Life is great.
Life is great. All right. So thank you very much. I mean, this is awesome. Any more trips planned these days? Where are you going next?
Yeah, we're going to Cancun next week, and then we're going to the Galapagos, going to Machu Picchu, going to the Baltic in August. We're going all over the place.
That's beautiful.
We've crossed paths in Hawaii. I crossed paths with you in Maui a few years ago.
Yes, we have. That was fun.
Yeah.
And we're about to head out to Europe, then to the Maldives.
Nice.
Nice. Germany, then the Maldives, and then back to Germany or Switzerland, and then Germany, and then to Paris, and then back back home, and then 10 days later to Hawaii again, to Honolulu, and then to the Big Island, and then back again. And then 3 weeks later, school starts for our daughter again. So we trying to do as much travel as we can in summer. So it looks like we're going to be all over the world here. This time our paths are not crossing, but I love the destinations. I love Machu Picchu. Michelle has been there. I haven't yet. And the Galapagos is definitely on my bucket list too.
Yeah, a Royal celebrity built a brand new ship called the Flora. If you get Costco, I just looked through it. Their monthly magazine. They were going to launch. Here's a great one. We were going to go. Our anniversary is June 9th. We were going to go in like the second sailing of the Flora, and it was late being built. They just took possession of it. I think earlier this month. They were late, so they said to us, "Okay, since we're being late, we'll give you back some of your money and take the cruise like 2 weeks later." We said, "Okay." Then they said, "We're way late. We'll give you back all your money, and you can go for free in September." So I said to my wife, I says, "Well, do we want to go a couple months late for free?" Yeah, sure we do.
Sure we do.
That was pure luck again.
But
if I didn't give the money,
the luckier you get.
Huh?
The harder you work, the luckier you get.
Yeah. So that's all good.
All right, wonderful. So thank you very much, Steve. That was a lot of fun talking here and talking shop and talking to some of your deals. I love the solar deal. I hope it goes through. I love the other ones. So thanks a lot. And with that,
my pleasure.
With that said, everyone, this concludes our episode of the Forever Cash Real Estate Live podcast with yours truly, Jack Bosch, and our guest, Steve Hilbon. Thank you, Steve.
Great, Jack. Thank you very much. I'll keep you apprised of the solar thing. I'll let you know what happens.
All right. Let me know.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen, yes. Auf Wiedersehen.
Ja, alles ist gut.
Bye-bye.
Enjoyed this episode? Then make sure you like, subscribe, and post your comments and questions below the video. We're looking forward to hearing from you.